Welcome to the Sharing Without Shame podcast, dedicated to parents and anyone else who loves someone in active addiction. Education is a powerful tool in breaking down stigma, fostering understanding, and ultimately helping individuals and their loved ones navigate the challenges of addiction. With Donna Marston, author of Peeling the Onion and Sharing Without Shame. So take a deep breath and grab some tissues as we uncover the stories of love, courage, and unwavering support in the face of adversity, as Donna and her guests share their stories without shame. Because when we share our stories without shame, we inspire others to do the same.
So hello and welcome to the Sharing Without Shame podcast. I'm your host, Donna Marston, and today's podcast is sponsored by Snap Bands. Here's my band. It says blessing. What I love about the packaging, it says that I'm a blessing, and I never thought of myself that way. And I am blessed. Yeah, I'm blessed because my son's a person in long-term recovery, 16 and a half years. So that's a blessing. So all you do is you give yourself a little snap, you snap yourself out of lousy negative thoughts or cravings or whatever it is, just give it a little snap. If you'd like to order one, go to Snap Bands. That's www.snapbands.com. It's SNAPBDANDZ.com, and put in comments, under comments, put in SWOS, or just write out Sharing Without Shame so that they know that you heard about these Snap Bands from me. And they come in all different colors, by the way, and there's different names on them. So today I'm excited to talk with Carla Preston Boyer. She's the author of I Drank and Chasing the Light, Finding a Way Out of the Shadows. Carla shares her powerful journey from addiction to sobriety, guided by faith and a deep belief in the resilience of the human spirit. Her mission is to inspire others to discover their inner strength, embrace spiritual freedom, and experience grace on their path to healing. Through her transformative story, she offers hope and encouragement to anyone seeking recovery and personal growth. Welcome, Carla.
Thank you, Donna. Lovely to be here.
Yes, thank you for coming. First question I like to ask, what would you like to share without shame?
Oh, there's so much to share.
Uh,
First of all, thank you for offering this space.
You're
What
welcome.
a fantastic opportunity to just hold space and open without shame.
Mm,
So first of all, my journey started with drinking, starting at the age of 12, and
wow.
and hiding and running from myself. And the part that I finally shared publicly for the first time in my book, that was like a big gulp moment, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Was that at age 15, I was sexually abused,
Mm,
and not realizing that that probably contributed to some of the feelings I was running from when
sure.
I was, you know, with all the substances that I used and abused.
Mm-hmm.
All that shame, guilt, fear, remorse, all that stuff tangled up. Either, it didn't help, right? Because I started drinking before then. So it was very scary, but it was very liberating to write that and put it out there and be like, you know what, this is part of my journey.
Yeah, it's your
And I
truth.
don't have to hide it anymore.
Right. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's awesome. It takes a lot of courage, doesn't it, to be vulnerable with the world.
It does, and part of it was back when it happened in the early 80s, young girls weren't believed. And we were called names, and we were going to court against someone was not the way it is now. It
Oh,
just wasn't.
absolutely.
So the fear was just, am I going to be bullied? Am I going to be not believed? You didn't dress properly. You probably wanted it. He was your boyfriend, whatever that was, right? And so
Yep.
we hid and we kept it secret and we shoved it down. And I should say I can't speak for anyone else, but that was my story.
No, I agree with you. It happened to me in the 70s. So I hear you.
It was a weird dichotomy. I wanted to take up space, yet I wanted to shrink.
Yeah.
It was this weird thing. I worked in a male dominated environment, but at the same time, I didn't want to have a voice. I didn't want to be, I was a mouse. I didn't feel like I had the right
Yeah.
to take up space or be heard. So to write that was very therapeutic. I can see it in your eyes, Donna.
Yeah. Yeah, because when we keep that secret, because I kept mine for years and I had terrible nightmares, and finally I talked about it and I was told, like, don't talk about it, right? 'Cause don't bring disgrace on the family. Don't talk about it. I didn't do anything wrong, but yeah, so it's painful and you work through it, right? So for you, did that progress your alcoholism? I wasn't a drinker, so it didn't. I don't know how. I probably went shopping to mask my pain.
Right. Oh, I did that too, believe me. I'm not sure, a chicken and egg thing.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not sure because I just remember being a very young child. And this is not the fault of, I had a nice family upbringing.
Yeah.
Looking back now, it was varying just degrees at different stages of my life, right? Some stages of my life, I had a horrible family life. Other stages of my life, it was quite pleasant. Depending where I was in my emotional state. But looking
Right.
back now as an adult, I can see, I had a pretty nice upbringing.
Yeah.
So I'm not blaming anyone. But as a child, I just remember something felt off inside me. I remember wanting to just not be who I was, which
Mm.
led me to want to pick up a drink at 12
Mm.
years old, and wanting to fit. I didn't fit anywhere. I felt like I just didn't fit anywhere. And wanting to, I didn't know what that would do for me. But,
Yeah.
but I just remember that feeling of finally fitting, it was glorious.
Mm.
That feeding that drink, feeding those feelings, feeding that next drink and the next drink and the next drink. Yeah, so I don't know. It was probably led to more feelings of wanting to hide and cover up, and and it wasn't just an alcohol addiction. I mean, it went to everything, including, my goodness, I had tanning beds. Remember tanning beds in the early 90s, right? Like it was wild. It was just
Mm.
anything to get me out of me, get me out
Yeah.
of feeling.
So it sounds like you always went to the extreme, all or nothing, and when you're active and doing whatever you were doing, you took
Absolutely.
it to the extreme.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank goodness I got help before it went to harsh drugs, because I think I would have really gone down quickly with that.
Mm. So you're talking cannabis?
Uh, I'm talking like if I had done cocaine or
Okay. So
needles,
primarily it was alcohol.
alcohol and cannabis, prescription drugs, overuse of prescription drugs, and anything that I could just you could manipulate the system here in Canada, right? You could,
Oh, is that what you are?
yeah, you could go doctor to doctor in those days, and you can't do that so much now. They track that stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think
Mhm.
it's a national database, isn't it? So when you identified you had a problem, did you identify it, or were people saying, Carla, we think you have a problem?
What was weird was I didn't know that it was an alcohol problem. I didn't understand. I thought possibly there was some drug problems
Mm-hmm.
because of the overuse of sleeping pills and diet pills and any kind of anything like that. Starting to go to 12-step meetings relating to the stories. I was going to 12-step meetings because I had a family member that I was going to get help for. Thinking I could fix them. And lo and behold, finally realized that I'm hearing myself in the stories.
That's powerful.
Yeah. And it was the oddest thing, Donna. I would drive 45 minutes from my small town to the city where I was going to the meetings. And I was so resentful that I, had to go to these meetings. And I would drive, and yet I would continue to go because something connected
Mm-hmm.
into me.
Mm-hmm.
And one night, someone was speaking and she spoke my story.
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't know what to do next. And someone said, there's a questionnaire you can take. And I went, oh, okay. And I took the questionnaire and I was shocked, absolutely shocked, because I never related it to alcohol. And that person said to me, but that's the first substance you had started with, right? That was kind of your go-to was your go-to the first time. And that made sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my younger years, it was just all bets were off, partying, and hiding from my parents and just sneaking around to just go to the next party and the next thing and and
Mm-hmm.
as I got older, it had changed. Not so much quantity, but it was other things too, right? So I was stacking things on top of things to get the same numbing. It was the
So
numbing.
at some point, did your life start to become unmanageable? Even though you were identifying it, was your life falling apart before taking this person to the meetings and you were just in denial, or did that all come together at about the same time?
Yeah. When I was going to those meetings, my life was absolute train wreck.
Mm.
And I didn't understand why. And I was utterly, absolutely broken. And I had no job, or I barely had a job. And I didn't really have a home. I was kind of couch surfing between my mom's and my friends. And it just, it was just up and down. I just couldn't make my life work no matter what I did, you know?
And how old were you at this time?
I was 50. I was 50 years old.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you were a teenager or in
No.
your 20s.
This was my son, no fault of his own, had got into an accident with my car, slid off the road in ice on ice.
Mm.
My car was totaled and I needed a new vehicle. And long story, insurance wouldn't cover it. I had to get another vehicle and I had to have my mom co-sign a loan for me at 50 years old. I'm like, this is so degrading as I'm living with her
Yeah.
back home at 50. So that, just eating away, chipping away at the soul, at the self-esteem, at all of it, and then to find out you may have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, ugh.
Mm.
However, I learned for me that there are tools, there are solutions, and that changed my life.
Mm. So you talk about the resilience of the human spirit. Can you share a moment in your journey from when you identified your addiction to where you discovered your strength and whether you stopped living in denial so that you identify, yes, I have a problem. Now what am I going to do with it? And how am I going to move forward and change my life and be able to buy my own car and be able to live on my own and do all that stuff? What was your pathway that made all that start to jive for you?
For me, it started in the 12 steps. That's for me.
Right away. So it wasn't like going to AA meetings initially and then graduating to the 12 steps?
Oh, yeah, it was meetings and then, yeah, diving
Okay.
into the 12 steps. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a moment for me, I didn't just get in and go, oh, yes, this is fabulous, right? My life is going to be wonderful. I had lost my job. I'd gotten divorced. It was just it was a really bad year.
Mm.
But at the same time, I met a wonderful man and who I'm married to today.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We got engaged and we got married. May of 2019, we got married on the May 3rd. And we just had a lovely, just small, quaint wedding. And then on the 5th of May, our house burned down and we lost everything.
Oh my.
That, that was a rough patch.
Sure.
Then a month later, his son died by suicide.
Oh my God.
So the human spirit, think it's my human spirit. I think it's a spirit other than me, right? Like I just remember my husband being, of course, obviously, absolutely devastated.
Sure.
And the only thing I knew to do was pray.
Mm.
That's my go-to. But I was still new in all this. I mean, I had a background of some form of spirituality, nothing like it feels today. And I didn't know, like, give me the words. I don't know. What do you say?
Yeah.
And my husband said, I don't know how to do this. And Donna, I don't know where this came from because it wasn't me. But all that came out of my mouth was just one breath at a time. Moment. It was like, okay. I don't know how we're going to walk through this, but we will.
Yeah. Because it's so common when any of us, no matter what the trauma is, we have a tendency to hold our breath and catching ourselves. And you're so correct in what you're saying, one breath at a time. Because it's literally, that's how we get through life sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great advice.
Yeah, it wasn't from me, but I just came to. And, resilience for me isn't from not experiencing stuff. It's
Mhm.
from experiencing stuff and continuing to breathe somehow, right? And doing it messy. None of us knew how to get through COVID. We'd never done that before.
Mhm.
Some of us didn't do that great at going through COVID, but we fumbled through, right? And some things that I've experienced, I have no idea what I'm doing. Some days I don't have a clue what I'm doing, but I just, just walking along. But I have, there's lots of support. And man, I just love this podcast because this is what it's about, doing it without shame and without hiding, and you're not alone. And, a lot of us don't know what we're doing.
And we're all messy. We all make
Absolutely.
messes. And, and my son was an active addiction. And I will, when I go out and publicly speak, or even, I don't know if I've written it in my books, but I know I've written it down that I've taken what once was my mess and made it my message.
Yes.
Because I was a messy mom because I didn't understand addiction. I knew nothing about it. But yet I'm the mother and I'm going to tell you how to do this. And it was a lot of humbling experiences and getting myself to breathe and learning how to change my prayers because the universe doesn't understand the word don't. So, change your language instead of, I don't want him to use drugs. I want him to live a healthy, happy life, right? That's how we find our resilience and and moving forward and whatever our mess is. And sitting in it. Sometimes we just have to sit in it.
Yeah.
And it's
Absolutely.
uncomfortable as hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if we don't sit in it, how do we learn? And then when we learn, we can hold space for the person who's sick and suffering.
Right. Oh, I love that. I had a friend say to me one time, Carla, it's okay to sit with I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always want to know, right?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
tell me what to do, I'll do it. Tell me where to go, I'll go. Tell me what this is, then I know.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's ego too, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Just, I'll fix it.
It's like putting that into perspective. That's a tough one. That's like, constantly being a work in progress.
Donna Marston knows what it's like to face the heartbreak of having a child in active addiction. She found a way out of that suffering and is now dedicated to helping parents navigate their painful journey with compassion and clarity. Donna provides a safe and supportive space for parents to share your feelings, gain insight, and learn how to prioritize your well-being. Through personalized wellness plans, she'll teach you how to establish healthy boundaries, break free from enabling behaviors, and develop better coping skills to foster a healthier relationship with your addicted teen or adult child. As a coach, author, and advocate, Donna combines her personal experience with tailored strategies to guide families toward hope and healing. Every new client receives a complimentary copy of her book, Sharing Without Shame, which is filled with inspiring stories of resilience. If you're ready to take the first step toward healing your heart and reclaiming your life, visit www.sharingwithoutshame.com to book a session with Donna today.
So how'd you come to write your book? I love your simple title. I drank.
Thank you.
It says it all. It says a lot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Just sitting, meditating, praying one morning.
Yeah.
And it was just like a visual.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be black and white cover. I knew the title and the first several lines, probably 20 lines, just came. And then it just started. Now I'd written, I'm always writing. So I had written, I don't know, started probably 5 books and nothing kind of gelled,
Yeah. Yep.
And then this just kind of floated in. And it was for the next 6 or 7 days, I was telling someone today, it was like I was taking dictation. I was just writing.
Right. It's like spirit writes it. That's how my first book was. It wasn't me. I felt like it came through me.
Yeah, it was like flowing.
Yeah, it was a vehicle to deliver the message.
Mhm. It's my story for sure, but now that was 2/3 of the book. And then a lot of the book was stuff I had written over the last 5, 6 years. And then part 2 of the book, a two-way conversation I have with Source, Spirit, God.
Oh,
Yeah, because for me, it's not a one-way thing. Process that I used when I was really in a dark, dark space. And I just sat in front of my computer and I'd write a question, type a question, and then I'd close my eyes and just start typing. There's mistakes in it. It's completely raw and unedited. Like I said to the editor, do not touch that second.
yeah.
So whether that resonates with people or people are just like, eh, that's a little weird, it's okay, right? It's okay.
Yeah. You did it your way. It's all that matters.
Yeah, that's right. So
It's interesting because I was taught a form of journaling. Sounds like what you do, and I teach it I have a journaling class that I do, and it's talking to ourselves, right? So for me, I have a conversation with my inner child, and I ask her questions, and she gives me the answers, and I'm able to love her, and we heal together.
that's beautiful.
Yeah, and when you tell people that concept, they look at you like you're crazy. It's amazing what happens.
Yeah. Now, I've heard of something similar. Do you write the answer in your non-dominant hand as the child?
No, I don't.
No.
Nope, I just write.
Yeah.
But that would be interesting because then it might look like a child's penmanship,
Mm.
correct? Yeah.
Mm.
I think there's a lot of different things you do. One of the things when I work with the parent is I have them write permission slips to themselves,
Oh.
giving themselves permission to care from a distance, to provide their own self-care, to not work as hard, work on their own recovery instead of working harder at their loved one's recovery than the loved one is.
Oh. Man, I could have used that years ago.
Me too.
Oh, man. I spent so much time obsessing and thinking, scheming and trying to figure out what I could do to make the other person recover.
Right? Yeah. And we lose ourselves while we do that. And it's hard to come back and understand that that's not my job. You can love somebody and figure out how you can love somebody in active addiction, even though they might not be emotionally healthy, figuring out how can I have the healthiest relationship, even though they're not emotionally healthy.
Yes.
Putting that forward, what does that look like?
Yeah.
And I think that's important when with loved ones, and especially when it's your child or your partner, your spouse,
Yeah.
because so much of it just changes and people don't often understand what it's all about or the emotions that they're feeling and internalizing that guilt and that shame, and how do you release it? So how did you release your guilt and shame as you moved forward in your recovery?
I had to dive into the steps, 12 steps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And a lot of journaling and a lot of praying and a lot of work with my sponsor and a lot of talking and crying and
Tears are good.
that tears are
Tears are
good.
good.
Yeah,
Gets rid of those toxins out of your body.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I had outside help as well. There was some stuff I could not get at. And so I did have some therapy, some outside help, and outside of the 12 steps. And that was just so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just, and it's constantly a work in progress. I mean, my goodness,
Aren't we all?
no one arrives, right?
Aren't we all? I mean, if we get to perfection, then what do we do with ourselves? So,
It'd be awful to be around me wherever
right?
that. Yeah, it'd be annoying.
Yeah, I don't think we'd stay so humble if everything was so perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an adventure to grow. Yeah.
Mhm. So can you share what you think, what some misconceptions about addiction and recovery look like?
I think some of my family and close friends were surprised that I identified as an alcoholic
Mm,
because they didn't see that I drank a lot of volume, especially in the end, right? However, for me, it's not the amount, it was what it was doing inside of me and in my life, the turmoil and the chaos and the type of person I would turn into. It got to the point where like I make sure if I have any kind of medication or any kind of, even if it's a naturopath, those little tinctures, just 3 little drops.
yeah.
If it's in a base of alcohol, absolutely not, because my body seems to just be so incredibly sensitive to
Mm-hmm.
alcohol of any form in any amount.
Yeah.
So the misconception is, for me, was I compared myself to other people who who used more than I did, drank more than I did. And that kept me out of the room, out of the, identifying and changing my life, probably 20 years or more, because that image I had of someone I thought would look like an alcoholic.
That profiling.
Yeah. And about recovery, that, my path is my path. What works for me works for me. What works for you may be something different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make it right or wrong.
No.
And that's one of the things I would always say when I was running family support groups locally, is what worked for me may not work for you, and there's no right or wrong way. We all have to find our way to see what works for us. And then sometimes it's just baby steps to get to where we need to go.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I don't like beets. You might love beets. Beets really work well in your body. I can't tolerate gluten, but your body can take gluten. It's the same thing in recovery, right? Oh, this doesn't work for me, but it really works well for you.
Yeah.
Same thing, in my opinion.
So do you work in the field of addiction and recovery at all?
I have some people that I work one-on-one with.
You do coaching?
I sponsor some people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I used to work in mental health and addictions, in the field of mental health and addictions. More the mental health side. I lost my job twice from the same agency. And then I stayed in the field of more the mental health field all through until 3 or 4 years ago, I think it was the last time. And then I took on another role in training and facilitating a program called emotional CPR. And that was really cool.
Oh, can you talk about that a little bit?
It's a program that teaches how to support someone through an emotional crisis. Yeah. And that was really cool. So it was all done. We did it online, and just 12-hour training session, and just to support people and hold space through emotional distress and crisis. And
there's so many people hurting.
Yeah.
Seems like more than ever.
Yeah.
Just with so much that's going on in this crazy world. So is there anything that you promote for yourself? Your 2 books, somebody wanted to buy your books, where would they go? How do they get in touch with you if they want to get to know you?
Yeah.
Addiction and, that type of thing.
Yeah. So I have a website, carlaprestonboyer.com. And my book is available on Amazon or through my website. There's a link to it.
It's a cool looking book.
I know, right? My son helped me with that. Sorry, it's backwards, but
No,
yeah.
I can see it normal.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I like the ran, because it's all about the fear running from, and
Wow.
yeah.
That
And
is powerful.
yeah, that was my son. My cover that I had originally designed was pretty boring.
Yeah.
He just took that and made it come alive.
Nice.
Yeah. I also write a blog 3 times a week called Sacred Stillness. And it's just a short little, through my website. And it's just short little, sitting in stillness kind of things to just reflect on and stuff. So, because I'm a big believer in just taking time to just reflect or ponder stuff, right? And so I just started that about a month ago.
It's amazing when we sit in silence what can come.
Yeah.
If we're listening.
Absolutely. Yes.
You can sit in silence, but your head's going. You're not going to hear the message.
And that's what I found for me, is trying to, sometimes I need a focus, right? Some kind of, if I just read something and it might just spark something to focus on, an idea or a thought. So that was my purpose behind that the Sacred Stillness blog. And I really believe that sitting in stillness and being quiet is a sacred space. You know, it's just kind of that space of quiet contemplation to be with ourselves and with our higher power or our higher self. That is for you. And you can create that, right? And just keep the world out and just have that bubble. It's so important nowadays, man. It's tough out there sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a sick world.
Yeah.
And I think too, it's just, whether you sit in the silence in meditation, and I think people often confuse meditation, because sometimes just spacing out is you're meditating, right? It's like zoned out, but sometimes you can still be somewhat thinking. You might have some processing going on, but you're still sitting in silence in meditation.
Yeah.
Because I used to try to get parents, instead of using sleeping pills to go to sleep when their kids are in active addiction, to listen to either brainwave therapy or, some sort of meditative music or guided meditations to help soothe them so that they could sleep, and so that their body would rest and their minds in particular would rest. So I think, they'd say, oh, this is tough. It's only as tough as you think it is.
Right.
Right. And it all takes practice.
Yeah.
And we never have to be perfect at it.
No.
It's just
Work in the mess.
yeah. Yeah. So as we wrap up, any words of wisdom for people who are listening?
This can be a really lonely world sometimes. And things are in all reality, things are really getting scary right now. I guess part of my message about my book, about what we've talked about today, and what you do, Donna, is amazing, is that you're not alone. Right?
Yeah.
If you're feeling shame, if you're feeling guilt, if you're feeling fear, whatever, you're not alone. To kind of ease that a little bit feels good, so many times. I remember just driving around in my car feeling so alone and afraid and not knowing what to do or where to go. And that's why I just celebrate you with this platform that you've created, this space you've created, and just
Thank you.
celebrate it. It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you for
You're welcome. Thank you. I carried so much shame for so many years. And, this organically grew. It used to, be a different name, and it just kept changing branding. And again, like it found me. And I started with Family Sharing Without Shame. Those were the meetings I ran, and it was Family Sharing Without Shame and Parent Sharing Without Shame. And then finally it was like, why don't I just call it Sharing Without Shame? It covers so much more. I mean, I do a lot with addiction and, recovery. However, there's so many parts of life that people carry shame.
Yes.
And we don't need to. We do
No.
it to ourselves. My head was my hell. And when I can get out of my head, take that stuff and put it over here and take a breath, you can move forward.
And it's about connection, right? Like,
Yep.
for me, it was about connecting to people in the 12-step meetings, and in other people in recovery, and other people in groups, and connecting like this, meeting new people. I was terrified to meet new people before. And sometimes it still weirds me out, but that's the old stuff going on, right?
Yeah.
I find the more I stay connected, the better I feel. And most importantly, the more I stay connected this way, the better I feel, right? Yeah.
Well, addiction is really about isolation, and recovery is about connection. And
Yeah.
that's why there's so many recovery community centers throughout the country now, right?
Mhm.
And there's so many people like us putting our hands out, right? So one of the things when I would end my meeting, everyone would stand up and we would hold hands and we'd do the serenity prayer. And then we'd end it with, I put my hand in yours, so together we can do what I no longer have to do alone.
Oh,
Because none of us have to do this alone. Not anymore. We
yeah.
have Zoom. We have so many ways to connect. There's no excuse anymore.
Oh, that's lovely.
So on that note, we'll end. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.
Thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to support the Sharing Without Shame podcast, please subscribe, like, and leave a review. If you're in need of emotional support, Donna offers private sessions. For more information about Donna and the services she offers, visit www.sharingwithoutshame.com or email her at donna4support@comcast.net. Nothing in the Sharing Without Shame podcast is intended to establish a therapist-patient relationship or intended to replace the services of a trained therapist, doctor, or health professional, or substitute for professional mental health, medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Until next time, may your faith and strength heal your heart.